I think the reorganization only works if after reorganization we actually resolve, we have a blueprint, so that we can actually see things are being done differently among different bureaus. That's number one. Number two, after reorganization, the question is whether that would facilitate and solve some of the collective action problems, as well as sort of collaborative governance problems within the government. I think those are the sort of the two key questions to evaluate sort of the reorganization. I think without those, the reorganization is just a sort of reshuffling of paper instead of actually driving at solutions. One way to resolve that is to actually be serious about the target. So as long as you don't have the target, then you don't know where you're going to. But for public housing production, they actually have a clear target. And every year in the past 8 years, they failed that target. By my account, in the past 8 years, the production was short of 100,000 public housing units. That's about sort of 13, Choi Hong estates. So short of, they actually build less, 100,000 less units than they planned for. So they have a clear KPI, but they fail to meet the KPI, and no one is responsible. And the reason is because everybody is following the procedure. So I think that, one is that a lot of people talk about KPI, but in public housing production, they actually have a KPI. It's just a matter of actually be serious about this KPI. One, we have a target. Second, we have to have someone that is responsible if we fail to deliver a target on the overall level, number one, and also I think on a sort of site-by-site level, meaning that if a project manager is responsible for a particular site within sort of the next sort of 10 years of public housing production, then each site needs to have a manager that is responsible for that developmental pipeline in order to drive at that sort of to solve that collective action problems. We can, if the housing bureau have coordination and collective action problems with other departments, can they use us to sort of help them to if you are saying this site have issue and stall because of, let's say, they are waiting for CEDD or the engineering department, then tell us. Then we will follow up for them. In each of the bureaus, they have some, and they sometimes work with sort of the outside think tanks on a sort of a limited capacity. But I think sort of the whole thing, not just one particular element, needs to be elevated so that we really sort of gather sort of the best opinions and analysis on a meritocracy basis. I think sometimes sort of the people inside the government, they think that their job is to be sort of a policy analyst without research backups. I think that is they're doing too much in a way. They need to rely on a bit more outside analysis, and their job is to look at the results, analyze the results, and then consider the political feasibility, and then sort of make decision that way. So their job is to make decision and evaluate political consequences, and let other people do the analysis for them.